There is a specific kind of silence that only exists at 3 in the morning in a kitchen that costs more than you can afford. Not peaceful. Not quiet. The silence of a performance no one is watching. A man on a polished concrete floor, back against a humming refrigerator, knees to his chest, eyes open. The costumes still on. The audience long gone. Julian wore that silence most nights. He grew up in Ohio with a hunger he could never silence. His father called staying put loyalty. Julian called it a life he would not have, and at 31 he went out alone to prove it. Freelance consultant. First year was lean but real. Then he started watching other consultants online, the lobbies, the suits, the cars, and drew a conclusion that felt like wisdom and was actually the beginning of his ruin. Those men did not look successful because they were successful. They looked it first. He wrote this in his journal like a commandment. He believed it the way people believe things that explain everything they need explained. Then he went shopping for a version of himself he had not yet earned. The loft, $4,200 a month. The leased sedan, $870. The glass-walled office suite in a building with a name instead of a number, 2,100. A watch that spoke without words. He called every piece of it an investment. He said that word until it stopped meaning anything and became a key he used on every door doubt tried to close. Now the math, cold and plain. Monthly outflow, $9,000 to $11,000. Monthly income, $7,000, on a good month. The gap between those two numbers was not a problem he was solving. It was a hole he was falling through, slowly enough that he could pretend, each month, that he had not yet started to fall. The slow months came without announcement. Clients delayed. Contracts ended. He started rotating payments between 2 credit cards. Moving money between accounts like a man rearranging deck chairs. The combined balance climbed, 12,000, 15, 19. Checking account, under 500 on a good day. He slept in pieces. Woke at 3 or 4 with a pressure in his sternum, not quite pain, never quite pain. Ran numbers in the dark until the numbers ran out. The phone became a threat. A vibration on the desk. Banking alert. Leave it face down, breathe, decide later. He learned to know exactly how little he had without ever looking directly at the figure. He started calculating whether he could afford the $14 salad downstairs. Not what he wanted, whether the transaction was viable. He did this in the tailored suit, behind the glass wall, and when the gap between what people saw and what was true opened inside him like a trapdoor, he would straighten his jacket and go order the salad anyway. Pausing was the one crack the performance could not survive. He told no one. The performance required a complete embargo on honesty. 2 autobiographies, running simultaneously, every single day. The envy in people's eyes when he arrived, that quick appraisal, that almost invisible recalibration, he collected it. It was the only return he was actually receiving. The Meridian Solutions retainer had been the architecture holding everything up. Largest recurring revenue he had ever had. It changed not just the numbers but the feeling of the numbers, which is not the same thing but is indistinguishable from inside. He upgraded the office. Quoted himself in client meetings. Called it the compounding brand. The email arrived on a Tuesday. For 17 in the afternoon. Gold light through the floor-to-ceiling windows. 5 sentences. Restructuring. Budget reallocation. They would not be renewing. She wished him well. He read it twice. Placed the phone face down. Sat very still. Without Meridian, monthly income $3,000 to $4,000. Monthly expenses, $9,000 to $11,000. Checking account, $400. Credit card debt, $19,000. Savings, 0. Emergency fund, 0. 3 years. Not $1 set aside as a net. The glass walls look different now. Not a professional environment. A prop in a play whose run had just been cancelled. The car was not a first impression. It was a debt wearing confidence as a disguise. The address, the suite, the watch, the cotton stock business cards, every piece of it had been running on borrowed time, and the time had run out. He gave notice on the suite. Moved to a hot desk at $400 a month. Broke the loft lease and paid the penalty in installments. Moved into a furnished apartment where the light was ordinary and nobody noticed him arrive. Returned the sedan. Bought a used car. Sat in the dealer's parking lot and cried for 4 minutes, then drove to a coffee shop and made calls about new business. The debts shrank slowly. The way real things are built, without ceremony, without a single impressive moment. What changed most was interior. He stopped constructing his environment to deliver a message he had not earned the right to send. He stopped renting a version of himself. He began, slowly and with real discomfort, working from the inside out. Value first, results first, everything else to follow, and the world, quietly and without fanfare, began to respond to what was actually there. There is no triumphant ending here. Just a man who learned, at great cost, the difference between an image and a foundation. On the last night of that chapter, he sat at the kitchen table, not the floor, the table, with the light on, and placed a single piece of blank paper in front of him and held a pen. He was going to write down what he actually had. Not what he owed. Not what the performance had required. Not the person in the photographs with the light arranged just right. What was real? What was his? The room was completely quiet. No glass wall. No audience. No golden afternoon light. Nothing asked anything of him. He held the pen for a long time. Then he began. What he wrote was small. Not impressive. Nothing that would look right on a website or in a caption or in the answer he used to give when clients asked about his track record. But it was true. And that, after the loft and the car and the $19,000 and the 417 email and the months of silent, unglamorous repair, was the only thing he had ever actually owned.